Shabbat Shalom. Our scripture reading for today is Psalms chapter 121, verses 4 through 8. Behold, he that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. Yahweh is thy keeper. Yahweh is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. Yahweh shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. Yahweh shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in, from this time forth and even forevermore.
Shabbat Shalom, family. Our selection today, keep me day by day.
Yahweh The oracles of the UCI. 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 7 through 11. But the end of all things is at hand. Be you therefore sober and watch unto prayer. And above all things have fervent love among yourselves, for love shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man has received the gift, even so minister the same one to another as good stewards of the manifold grace of Elohim. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of Elohim. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which Elohim gives, that Elohim in all things may be glorified through Yahshua the Mashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 29 through chapter 5 and verse 4. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of Elohim, whereby you are sealed until the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be you kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for Yahshua's sake has forgiven you. Be you therefore followers of Elohim, as their children, and walk in love, as the Mashiach also have loved us, and has given himself for us an offering and sacrifice to Elohim for a sweet-smelling savor. But fornication, and all uncleanness, or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as becomes saints. Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather given of thanks. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verses 1 and 2. Keep your foot when you go to the house of Elohim, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with your mouth, and let not your heart be hasty to utter anything before Elohim. For Elohim is in heaven, and you upon earth. Therefore, let your words be few. Exodus chapter 23, verses 20 and 21. Behold, I send an angel before you to keep you in the way, and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him, and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. Revelations chapter 3, verses 20 through 22. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him and will sup with him, and he with me. To him that overcomes will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I have also overcame and have sat down with my Father in his throne. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches.
All right, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Which is peace on Yahweh's holy Sabbath day. Welcome to another holy convocation that Yahweh has enjoined unto us here in this body of Yahshua. Today we're going to deal with the various ways in which the heathen has gotten us to come off of our culture, and a lot of things are not known by us right away because they are introduced unto us in various ways. Just, catching us when we're young, teaching us certain things that we get accustomed to, and later on we find out that will then be the door opener to another situation. So things are given to us in stages. So when it first comes onto us, it may look one way. But as we get further down in the process, we understand that we have been indoctrinated, all while believing that we were being educated. When you even examine the whole process of so-called higher learning, it is more indoctrination than education when we get into these institutions. We may come out of a lot of those institutions with degrees, but what kind of mindset have we also come away with? Because we have gotten accustomed to a lot of things that we just thought were, parties or things of that nature. And then you find out later on, after doing some research, that all of these so-called groups that they, got us to join were all connected to some previous paganism, and we participated in rituals, not knowing that that's what we were doing. So today I want to begin today's sermon in Deuteronomy chapter 28. And the title of the sermon is entitled The Way and Life of the Heathen. And whenever a conquering body moves in, they go about to teach their way and culture. Okay? So it is important unto them to try to teach the culture of the ruling body. So, because otherwise, all of this starts being a situation where they have conquered these lands and areas of, or whatnot, but they are not a cohesive unit. So they need some sort of cultural event that brings these various different groups of people together. And a lot of these events are being used for the purpose of gathering those people together. So we're going to begin today's sermon, Deuteronomy chapter 28, and let's start at verse 15.
But it shall come to pass, if you will not hearken unto the voice of Yahweh your Elohim, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command you this day, that all these curses shall come upon you and overtake you.
All of these shall come upon you and overtake you. Now, it is very obvious, no matter who you believe the children of Israel are, you know one thing, that the children of Israel did not do all of the things that we were supposed to do. So, then these curses at some point or another must afflict the children of Israel. When you do start to deal with this book, not like some book of stories, but a history book about the true children of Israel, you begin to understand why the nations have developed so many other books. They really need you to get out of this one. While everybody else is trying to say you need to learn this language, and then you need to read this book, and then you need to, if you read this other book, you're going to get so deep. The issue is the people who have converted can't produce any of these events in their history. All of these things are after Egypt. So no one could claim Egypt and say that, well, this happened to us in Egypt. Every last bit of this is prophesied to happen to the children of Israel after Egypt. So the nation who can't show these things, how can they be Israel? So to then not only prove it to other people, but to also prove it to themselves, they need to stay out of this book. While you find a whole lot of people talking Torah, 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 when you find out where they get their practices from, it ain't from the Torah. The Torah is these first 5 books. Their culture does not come from this. It comes from the many volumes of other books. That should automatically be a red flag for us. Go ahead.
Verse 16. Cursed shall you be in the city, and cursed shall be in the field. Cursed shall be your basket and your store.
Now, understanding that Israel didn't do all of the things that Israel was supposed to do, then these curses then affect you financially. So when a group of people end up being the richest people on earth and controlling finances, they can't keep reading this. Because at some point, even they will begin to question themselves. Wait a minute. We own stadiums, and we own businesses that own businesses. How is this us? See, at some point, it begins to become a question to themselves. So then you got to get them away from reading the foundation and go get into other books. And then we think that we're being something and that we're going to, grow. So then we get out of the book and we start reading, the happenings of angels and all this other mystical stuff. The whole thing was a design for you to get out of the very thing that proved who you are. It's one thing to be tricked. It's something altogether different to be tricked with knowledge. But wasn't that the first trick?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, if it's keep working, I mean, the adversary of the devil has no reason to change it. Take it like they ain't figured out yet. You start with the jab, you stick and move. I mean, but if the jab working all day, I really don't have a reason to go to the next bag of tricks. He ain't figured out. I'm letting him know I'm about to pow. I keep hitting him in the face. He ain't figured out that I'm going to take 2 steps and punch. 2-step, punch. 2-step. This been working for 8 rounds. Why do he need to change his tactic? It keeps working. Make us think we're getting into some deep mystical something and we walk away from the simplicity. We walk away from the connection that we have in our Elohim, following something else, thinking that we're finna get something greater. And every time the adversary does it on a natural level and a spiritual level. We go about looking for all of these things. And then we get it and realize you have destroyed everything that you had before. Looking at that. Go ahead.
Cursed shall be the fruit of your body and the fruit of your land, the increase of your kind and the flocks of your sheep. Cursed shall you be when you come in, and cursed shall you be when you go out.
All right, so these are the things that are going to befall the children of Israel, no matter what. And there's a reason why, other nations do not want to go into this. Because understand, anybody who's been converted to Israel, you understand that this doesn't apply to them, right? This does not apply to proselytes. So let's say a Gentile says, I want to walk in the the culture of the Jews. This doesn't apply to them on that level. Sure, they can, some of that they may end up dealing with at some point, but this wasn't given unto them. So then now this is the confusing part about the children of Israel. Now here it is, you have opened the door unto other nations. But when wrong is committed, you the one to get punished and the other nation don't. Now they sitting next to you though. Now imagine what this looked like. You don't open the door to let them in. Something go wrong, Yahweh whoop you. And they looking. And they look and they realize, I didn't get no whooping. And then they let it happen again. How long you think it take before they start gathering together and realize, hey, look, y'all know this can become ours, right? Because when Yahweh come over here, he don't whoop nobody but them. How long you think it took? Go ahead, Bree.
Elder, you were talking about if they kept in the book and look at the finance part, they can say, well, this doesn't account to us. We doing well. So you look at the wealth part and then look at the health part. We suffering on the wealth part and we suffering on the health part, and they're not getting none of this.
They're not getting in there.
The doctors will tell you, we don't understand why y'all got the highest rate of diabetes, why y'all got the highest rate of blood pressure.
Highest rate of everything.
Right.
Except money. And then we get it, then them same people somehow get control of it. Check that out. Now you become our financial advisor, and now we can't get our own money. Well, I want to take some money out. Well, I don't think that's a good idea. Well, no, I think it's a good idea. No, I said I don't think it's a good idea. Wait a minute. You're supposed to be an advisor. But somehow in them paperwork, because some folk real good with the paperwork, You done somehow gave them the ability that you didn't know you gave them. Now you can't get your own money. Now you got to ask somebody, can you get your money? Jump to verse 25.
Yahweh shall cause you to be smitten before your enemies. You shall go out one way against them and flee 7 ways before them, and shall be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth.
Now, the fact that the children of Israel will be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth is a part of weakening Israel. So when you see that these other groups are able to go to countries, and it's funny, if you start reading a lot of the forums, people start bragging, well, we've always stuck together as a people. Well, that pretty much tells me who you're not. Because what Yahweh said, he's going to spread Israel into all the kingdoms for a reason. What is that reason? To make sure that you don't take over the places where he sent you. So he's never going to send all of us to one area. Okay, there are more slaves that ended up in South America than ended up in North America. Imagine if you put all of them in the same place. You know there's owls then, right? He had to separate just those. Imagine if he sent all of us. I don't care if he sent all of us to Germany. It would have turned to Pookie Land. You put all us in there. So he knows he can't put all of us in one place. There, where it says, I will scatter you, all over the globe. But then you understand how Yahweh did the blessing. He said, I'm going to give you this land, but I'm not going to give it to you all at one time. Because if I give it to you all at one time, then the beast of the field going to magnify against you. So I'm going to wait until you grow little by little, and then I will allow you to get all of the stuff that I've given unto you. I've already given it to you. It's already yours. But there's no need of me going and kicking those people out. Right now, they're being used to maintain the land until you grow big enough to overtake them. Then I will give you that. So then flip that on the other side. If he does it on the left, he can do it on the right. Jump to verse 48.
Therefore shall you serve your enemies, which Yahweh shall send against you, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness.
Now, this is part of the curse, okay? That you shall serve your enemies, which Yahweh shall send against you in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness. Understand, part of his blessing was that he gave you a land. This is one of the things that I was going over in Bible study about having, a curse within you. Understand something. At the original point, all we owed was 10%. Do you understand that means that 90% was yours? Now, we asked for a king, which increased our percentage. Because see, now you owe Yahweh and now you owe the king. Now, he told you, all right, now if you get a king, I'm telling you, he going to do such and such and such. In other words, Yahweh said you're going to have to pay taxes. Now, with me, the only thing you had to do pay 10%. Now, understand what we got for that 10%. You had a land completely paid for. You will never have a mortgage because your house is on the land that your family owns. Every time somebody else need something, all right, take 100 steps and build a house. All those people, you know where the people family are because they all on the same land. Take another 100 steps, build a house. Take another 100 steps, build a house. And then everybody can get together to help each individual build a house. So once you build it, everything sitting on it is yours. There's no situation where somebody say, you know what, you missed 3 months payment. I'm going to have to go ahead and confiscate this. Understand, this is what we had. And we traded it in for the system that we have now. The system we have now, you can pay for a house and it be paid for 20 years. And you don't pay the taxes. And now $300,000 house is gone for $1,500 worth of taxes. This is what we traded in our culture for. But somehow the heathen made us think that it was better his way. This is what we did. We walked away from having a land that everything you need sustains you from your own land. We walked away from that so that we can have a supermarket and we can go in there and buy some Frankenfoods when we had real vegetables on our own land. Now, we don't know what the hell that is we get out that store. It looked like a tomato. You cut it open, it might tell you that it's something else. It might talk to you. But somehow they made us think that their way was better. Keep reading.
And in want of all things, and he shall put a yoke of iron upon your neck until he have destroyed you.
And let me tell you something. When you have never been in that type of captivity, when you have never been in want, when you have always had money, do you know how difficult this has to be to read this over and over again? So you got to get some different books to read. You can't keep reading this one. You can't keep making your kids read this one. This is hard to read to a trust fund, baby. You shall have a yoke of diamonds around your neck.
Yoke of diamonds.
And you shall serve by telling them to do your work.
No, Sooner or later, this becomes a problem. Go ahead.
That was verse 48.
Keep going.
Continue. Yahweh shall bring a nation against you from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flies, a nation whose language you shall not understand.
So when somebody tells me that they have forever been able to keep and maintain a language, I can tell you that those people are not the true children of Israel. But you know, you got to get out of this book, though, and then they can tell you otherwise. Because see, Yahweh says something else. See, Yahweh said that this is part of the curse. You are not going to be able to do it. You're going to learn the language of your captors. Now jump to verse 64.
And Yahweh shall scatter you among all people.
Yahweh shall scatter you among all people. Okay? So one of the things that even just sitting and watching these Olympics, you get to see the evidence of us being scattered among all people. A country come up and it's the whitest country you ever seen. I mean, when they start walking up to the dust, white dust shoot out. It's so white. And then when they people show up, they the blackest you ever seen. Hold on, bruh. Them must be the only black people there. But there's a reason for that. Go ahead.
From the one end of the earth even unto the other. And there shall you serve other gods, which neither you nor your fathers have known, even wood and stone.
And we know the biggest two are Christian doctrine and Islam. Christianity deals with the wood of the cross, and Islam is the stone. So then when you look, you will then see the evidence of our people, but then their names are going to be the names of the people that ruled over them. The same way they made us change our names when we got here. That's why it's a real spiritual step when we find out who we are to take on a spiritual name. Your name represents that this is your culture. These are the individuals that rule over you. So when we walk in that government name that was given unto us, then we are consenting to their authority. Go ahead.
And among these nations shall you find no ease, neither shall the sole of your foot have rest. But Yahweh shall give you there a trembling of heart, and failing of eyes, and sorrow of mind. And your life shall hang in doubt before you, and you shall fare day and night, and shall have non-assurance of your life. In the morning you shall say, would Elohim it were evening. And at evening you should say, would Elohim it were morning. for the fear of your heart wherewith you shall fear, and for the sight of your eyes which you shall see. And Yahweh shall bring you into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto you. You shall see it no more again, and there you shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you.
And when it says no man shall buy you, that's no man shall redeem you. You shall indeed be sold. Now, if you can't produce these situations, then it becomes necessary to get the people out of this book. Now, and if you don't think getting into different books is the way that the heathen wars, pay attention to all of the new list of books that are not allowed to be read in the school systems now. So all of a sudden you have the books like the 1611 Project, all of these other books that have been written by, black authors, things that have been written by a collection of people. How about those things are now not allowed to be in schools, but they have some of the most provocative books around that will teach children some absolutely horrific things. Those books are still allowed to be read. Now, why is that so? Go ahead, Bree.
That was it.
That was it. Let's go to Daniel chapter 1.
Daniel chapter 1 and verse 1. In the 3rd year of the reign of Jehoiakim, king of Yehuda, came Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, unto Jerusalem, and besieged it. And Adonai gave Jehoiakim, king of Yehuda, into his hand with part of the vessels of the house of Elohim, which he carried into the land of Shinar to the house of his God.
Shinar is also Babel. Go ahead.
And he brought the vessels into the treasure house of his God. And the king spake unto Ashpenaz, the master of his eunuchs, that he should bring certain of the children of Israel, and of the king's seed, and of the princes.
Now, so Babel has the wealth of Israel in two ways. It has the wealth of the physical things, and it has the physical wealth of the people. That's the real wealth, controlling the children of Israel. Go ahead.
Children in whom was no blemish, were well favored, and skillful in all wisdom, and cunning in knowledge, and understanding science, and such as had ability in them to stand in the king's palace, and whom they might teach the learning and the language of the Chaldeans.
All right, so in other words, they want to get him a scholarship. They want to get him a scholarship. They want to teach these children. They want to raise up a whole way, and we're going to get to that a little bit later, but it is imperative that they teach the younger people so that they will encourage the next generation to walk behind them. So when we see certain people in authority, they have already tested those individuals. So now we look up and people say, this Kamala is a running for president. Believe you me, they have already sent those individuals through all the channels, and they know exactly what they're dealing with. They know that they can put a person in there who look like you, but they ain't gonna do nothing for you. Go ahead.
And the king appointed them a daily provision of the king's meat and of the wine which he drank, so nourishing them 3 years, that at the end thereof they might stand before the king. Now among these were of the children of Yehuda, Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, unto whom the prince of the eunuchs gave names, for he gave unto Daniel the name of Belteshazzar, and to Hananiah of Shadrach, and to Mishael of Meshach, and to Azariah of Abednego.
Now, we then see that for them to effectively get us to take their culture, we need to step away from the names that glorify Elohim. All of these names glorify their God. We don't understand that the names that we had when we walked in that door glorified the God of the heathen. Go ahead.
You know, Elder, when you look at the selection, it says they were of Yehuda, of the king's seed.
Uh-huh.
So when you look at the influence that these children would have on other normal kids.
Exactly.
Because he said, make sure they're of the king's seed and of the princes.
Yep. Yep. It was specific to get certain individuals because he knew the power of what they were going to influence. So just by dealing with them, he got the rest of them. Go ahead.
But Daniel purposed in his heart that he would not defile himself with the portion of the king's meat.
Now, you look at some of the things that's causing us our biggest issue. You were just talking about health.
Mm-hmm.
The king's meat.
Mm-hmm.
This is, you know, delicacies of the king. And half our problems come because we are partaking of these things that we need to leave alone. But somebody has convinced us that these things are good. Go ahead.
Nor with the wine which he drank. Therefore he requested of the prince of the eunuchs that he might not defile himself.
And let me tell you something, you can't drink every bit of wine. See, folks don't understand that there's certain, we know in the hood there's wine we know we call liquid crack. Some of that stuff you drink today and tomorrow you wake up outside 4 doors down.
Mr. Jimmy, I'm sorry. I didn't know. I want to apologize for what I did in your garden. I didn't.
Right. We have learned that there's certain things, hey, you can't drink that. Go ahead.
Now Elohim had brought Daniel into favor and tender love with the prince of the eunuchs. And the prince of the eunuchs said unto Daniel, I fear my master the king, who has appointed your meat and your drink. For why should he see your faces worse liking than the children which are of your sort? Then shall you make me endanger my head to the king. Then said Daniel to Melzar, whom the prince of the eunuchs had set over Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah.
So then these men have to walk in 2 names. They have to be amongst the people who they know among the children of Israel. They can be Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. But when they go unto all official gatherings, they have to be Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and Belteshazzar. Go ahead.
Prove your servants, I beseech you, 10 days, and let them give us pulse to eat and water to drink. Then let our countenance be looked upon before you, and the countenance of the children that eat of the portion of the king's meat. And as you see it, deal with your servants. So he consented to them in this matter, and proved them 10 days. And at the end of 10 days, their countenance appeared fairer and fatter in flesh than all the children which did eat the portion of the king's meat.
Uh-huh.
Thus Melzar took away the portion of their meat and the wine that they should drink, and gave them pulse. As for these 4 children, Elohim gave them knowledge and skill in all learning and wisdom, and Daniel had understanding in all visions and dreams.
All right, now he already is going through, they want to teach him the way and life of the heathen. But then Yahweh turn around and add to it. So it's bad enough that they are learning these things. Yahweh see it and he add to them. So now even amongst the people who they are learning with, they stand out far above those people. Go ahead.
Now at the end of the days that the king had said he should bring them in, then the prince of the eunuchs brought them in before Nebuchadnezzar. And the king communed with them, and among them all was found none like Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. Therefore stood they before the king.
So in other words, they had contests to start separating individuals according to their knowledge and ability. And at every level, they're setting them down. All right, well, these could go up to this part. These could go up to this part. But under all of those things, here you have these foreigners, if you will, that not only have learned the way of the Chaldeans, but have special ability above even what they've taught them. Go ahead.
And in all matters of wisdom and understanding that the king inquired of them, he found them 10 times better than all the magicians and astrologers, and were in all his realm. And Daniel continued even on to the first year of King Cyrus.
All right, so now this authority has been seen and observed through actions. Let's go to chapter 6, and we're going to read verses 1 through 14.
Daniel chapter 6 and verse 1. It pleased Darius to set over the kingdom 120 princes, which should be over the whole kingdom. And over these 3 presidents, of whom Daniel was first, that the princes might give accounts unto them, and the king should have no damage. Then this Daniel was preferred above the presidents and princes, because an excellent spirit was in him, and the king thought to set him over the whole realm. Then the presidents and princes sought to find occasion against Daniel concerning the kingdom.
Now there's a problem. Now there's a promotion of these foreigners, if you will. But because Yahweh has put his spirit upon these individuals, the natural things that they have are multiplied. See, sometimes we'll just think, we have a blessing, so we don't really need to do anything for the blessing. But let me tell you, the blessing multiplies based on what you put in it. It's like, okay, you got this glass here, and it said, well, I can only have what's in this glass. No. Yahweh can make what's in the glass 10 times better. But if you got more in the glass, now you got the blessing plus all of the stuff that you came with. Because they then educated them. He's way up there. But then this also causes some problems. Because there are spectators who now have a problem with the ability of this individual. Go ahead.
But they could find none occasion nor fault, for as much as he was faithful, neither was there any error nor fault found in him.
Now, for every, you find this a lot. A lot of the people who have gone to college and acquired certain things, people of color, as they say, they then accuse them, affirmative action got you your job. Now, them people might have gone to 3-4 schools. They will not give them their own credit for going through those things. Well, no matter how much this man has ability, they have a problem with him having that authority. Go ahead.
Then said these men, we shall not find any occasion against this Daniel, except we find it against him concerning the law of his Elohim.
All right, so now the nations understand now, because while they may be telling us to read other books, they are still reading the ones that they need to educate themselves about how to deal with us. So they have learned the only way we're going to really find fault with these people is we have to find it concerning the culture of their God. That's the covenant that they made. That's the covenant that he's going to deal with them in. So we can go with all these other things, but that's not going to cause a problem. We need to separate them from their God. Go ahead.
Then these presidents and princes assembled together to the king, and said thus unto King Darius, and thus said unto him, King Darius, live forever. All the presidents of the kingdom, and governors, and princes, counselors, and the captains have consulted together to establish a royal statute, and to make a firm decree, that whosoever shall ask a petition of any el or man for 30 days, save of you, O king, he shall be cast into the den of lions.
Understanding his culture. See, so what they've done is watched him and see how he operates. Now they put together something that they know will present a problem. Go ahead.
Now, O king, establish the decree, and sign the writing, that it be not changed, according to the law of the Medes and Persians, which alters not.
So understand, your enemy has studied your culture so that they can figure out the best way to attack you. Why do you think the adversary, the devil, makes sure that almost everything we want to do, it happens either on Friday night or Saturday morning? Saturday night could have been latest night. They didn't have to make it Friday night. They didn't have to make it. They didn't have to make it.
They got Sunday off.
You know, they could have. No, but they knew what they were doing. So you drive by the club and then they hold a line. So it's a long line of people going across. Now you negotiating. I could go in there and probably tell them about the word. Right. Sure you could. Go ahead, Bree.
Wherefore King Darius signed the writing and the decree. Now when Daniel knew that the writing was signed, he went into his house. And his windows being open in his chamber toward Jerusalem, he kneeled upon his knees 3 times a day, and prayed, and gave thanks before his Elohim, as he did aforetime. Then these men assembled, and found Daniel praying and making supplication before his El.
Then these men assembled. They knew exactly what time to assemble, because they had already studied him. They had already studied his culture. They knew how to come at him because of the culture. So they knew without fail, when we gather together, we know what they're going to be doing. So they passed the law first. Go ahead.
Then they came near, and spake before the king concerning the king's decree. Have you not signed a decree, that every man that shall ask a petition of any el or man within 30 days, save of you, O king, shall be cast into the den of lions? The king answered and said, the thing is true, according to the law of the Medes and Persians, which alters not. Then answered they and said before the king, that Daniel, which is of the children of the captivity of Yehuda.
Now, of the children of the captivity. Letting you know, look, wait a minute, you done placed one of these children of the captivity, and he over us, and we don't appreciate it. Go ahead.
Regards not you, O king, nor the decree that you have signed, but makes his petition 3 times a day. Then the king, when he heard these words, was sore displeased with himself.
He was sore displeased with himself because at this point he knows that he has been tricked. He knows that he has been convinced to sign a document that will destroy somebody that he cares for. This politics. Where you sign a law and they act like the law is good until you see how the law is going to be used. It still happens today, right now. People push a law and talk about legislation that they really don't understand. That law may be 500 pages. They're pushing it. They don't even understand it. And they got their name on it. Go ahead.
And set his heart on Daniel to deliver him.
All right, let's go to 1 Maccabees chapter 1. I want to read a few things out of here.
First Maccabees chapter 1, and verse 1. And it happened, after that Alexander, son of Philip the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Shittim, had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes, that he reigned in his stead, the first over Greece.
So we understand that he's talking about Alexander the Great. Go ahead.
And made many wars, and won many strongholds, and slew the kings of the earth, and went through to the ends of the earth, and took spoils of many nations, insomuch that the earth was quiet before him, whereupon he was exalted, and his heart was lifted up. And he gathered a mighty strong host, and ruled over countries and nations and kings, who became tributaries unto him. And after these things he fell sick, and perceived that he should die. Wherefore he called his servants, such as were honorable, and had been brought up with him from his youth, and parted his kingdom among them while he was yet alive. So Alexander reigned 12 years, and then died. And his servants bare rule every one in his place. And after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them many years, and evils were multiplied in the earth. And there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, son of Antiochus the king, who had been an hostage at Rome, and he reigned in the 137th year of the kingdom of the Greeks.
All right, now, this base of this is coming from the Greeks. Of course, eventually the Romans take over the Greeks, but we're coming from the foundation of the Greeks. Go ahead.
In those days went there out of Israel wicked men, who persuaded many, saying, Let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow.
So, the adversary presents things in such a way that life is made difficult unless you follow the way that they have set up. So you actually begin to give more credit to it than your own culture. Go ahead.
So this device pleased them well. Then certain of the people were so forward herein that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinance of the heathen. Whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem, according to the customs of the heathen.
Now, when you first hear that, it doesn't sound bad because they got a place of exercise. The problem is, according to the customs of the heathen. Wait a minute. The heathen operate differently. So now there are a whole lot of things that are being set up, and they are being set up according to the customs of the heathen. And a lot of us are suffering because we don't understand the customs of the heathen. Go ahead.
And made themselves uncircumcised, and forsook the holy covenant, and joined themselves to the heathen, and were sold to do mischief.
So then, by creating a place of exercise whereby you can gather these people together, they are now taking a part of heathen activities, but they have been encouraged to do so. Go ahead.
Did you want to jump there? Or
Jump to verse 41.
1 Maccabees chapter 1 and verse 41. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people.
All right. So after they have conquered all of these people, they got to find a way to make these people join together. These are different ethnic groups of individuals, but they need to follow something that is the same. So then this is where festivals and rituals are put together and all are invited. Go ahead.
And everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king.
So leave all of the things that you have gotten accustomed to and deal with what we're giving you. This is going to allow his kingdom to flourish. Go ahead.
Yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion, and sacrificed unto idols, and profaned the Shabbat.
Right. So how they help us profane the Shabbat by giving us all of these other things. You know, they say
You love your kids, don't you? Well, look, they got a nice little league game. It's Saturday.
and they keep putting everything on the days, knowing the more you follow this, the more you're going to step on this culture, and sooner or later you're going to anger your God. Your God going to be extremely angry towards you. But they know what they're doing. Go ahead.
For the king had sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judea that they should follow the strange laws of the land.
The strange laws of the land. Now, it's so funny because folks who don't like certain aspects of Yahweh's law, they say, follow the laws of the land so that they go well with you. They don't really understand. The heathen specifically came in and made laws so that it wouldn't go well with us. It was the heathen that came in and said, no loitering. Wait a minute. So he's loitering on this side of town, but is congregating on that side of town? Wait a minute. It's 5 people outside a store over there, but 5 people outside a store over here is illegal. But the same people will tell you obey the laws of the land. Go ahead.
And forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple. And that they should profane the Shabbats and festival days.
So then, to make sure that they profaned it, they start mingling it with other things. Go ahead.
And pollute the sanctuary and holy people. Set up altars and groves and chapels of idols, and sacrifice swine's flesh and unclean beasts.
So here it is, beasts that we ain't supposed to eat, they turn around and put it on the altar. Making sure that now you're going, man, now we can't deal with that. But the further they could get the children of Israel away from the culture that Yahweh has given unto us, the easier they could get you to walk in theirs. Go ahead.
That they should also leave their children uncircumcised, and make their souls abominable with all manner of uncleanness and profanation, to the end they might forget the law and change all the ordinances.
In other words, we're going to make the way of the heathen fun. So they're going to feel like they're missing something if they don't deal with us. Go ahead.
And whosoever would not do according to the commandment of the king, he said, he should die.
Now, this is the heathen coming at the children of Israel. Now, you will hear a whole lot of words spoken against Islam and how they, forcefully do things. And most of these people don't really understand Christian history. Because they went about and converted people with the sword. You either converted or you died. Here are the so-called Christians, because it's the same people, it's Gentile. And they're getting people to convert. But it ain't Christianity. They don't have that yet. But they operate the same way. This is how they're operating before Christianity. Then they turn around and get so-called Christianity, and they operate just like this. Convert or die. Go ahead.
In the self-same manner wrote he to his whole kingdom, and appointed overseers over all the people, commanding the cities of Judea to sacrifice city by city. Then many of the people were gathered unto them, to wit, everyone that forsook the law, and so they committed evils in the land. And drove the Israelites into secret places.
Now, when we think about the things that we read before about how they found these Dead Sea Scrolls in these caves, all right, I need you to start putting some of those, start connecting dots as they got afflicted by the Gentiles, and it drove them into all these secret places. Now, we find a group of writings, and we think that that now includes the entire children of Israel. No, there's just people running, and they stash their stuff in them caves. So now they want to make the findings in the cave everything that the children of Israel dealt with. And when you don't know no better, you let them tell you that. But you need to start connecting the dots. They're the ones that forced those people away. But had it been in the temple, they would have burnt it up anyway. Go ahead.
And drove the Israelites into secret places, even wheresoever they could flee for safety. Now the 15th day of the month Caslu, in the 145th year, they set up the abomination of desolation upon the altar, and built idol altars throughout the cities of Judea on every side, and burnt incense at the doors of their houses and in the streets.
So when you start hearing about all of these things, these rituals, and people say, well, you don't keep this day, I need for you to understand how those things got to be a part of so-called Jewish customs. And people start, why don't you guys keep that? Because it's not in the Torah. This is where all of these customs are forcefully introduced. So then you have these forcefully introduced customs being kept today, but they making you feel like you the one not doing right. Go ahead.
And when they had rent in pieces the books of the law which they found, they burnt them with fire.
All right, now hold on. Now, they're purposely taking the books of Yahweh and doing away with them. Well, they're replacing them with something. All right. You got over 60, 70 books that people are telling you that you need to read outside of this one. Where are they getting that from? They're following the dictates of the original oppressor. Go ahead.
And whosoever was found with any of the books of the Testament, or if any committed to the law, the king's commandment was that they should put him to death.
Right. Understand, a lot of times there are situations of where we end up and people don't want to deal with how we got there. The very people will come around and say, those people lazy. Every time one of our people achieved something, it was those people whose city and houses got burnt down. They didn't come and burn down the poor people's houses. They came and burned down the doctors, the lawyers, all of the ones who had achieved something. Their houses caught on fire. Hell, Tulsa got so advanced, they didn't just burn down a neighborhood, they burned down the whole damn place. And then after those people have been encouraged, they said, man, look, there ain't no need of going through all of that. If I get too much, these people ain't going to do nothing but set it on fire. So then those people will encourage to, all right, I don't want to be homeless, but I don't want to live on that house on the hill either. And they act like they don't know how we got that mindset. You got tired of seeing stuff catch on fire. Go ahead.
Thus did they by their authority unto the Israelites every month, to as many as were found in the cities. Now the 25th day of the month they did sacrifice upon the idol altar, which was upon the altar of Elohim. At which time, according to the commandment, they put to death certain women that had caused their children to be circumcised.
Right. So you talking about just trying to get the circumcision, they're getting the death penalty. This is how they encouraged us to walk away from our culture. While we singing and dancing and having a good time, you don't understand. People died for this way of life to be pushed into our minds. Go ahead.
And they hanged the infants about their necks.
Hang the infants. Now see, they want to, when Yahweh say, go in and kill everything that breathe, they want you to think, oh, Yahweh is barbaric. Well, why don't we see paintings of the babies hanging by their neck? Why don't you tell us what y'all did? Why don't you show us that? The only reason we see the slaves hanging is by their pictures. Wasn't no slave in the position of taking a picture of that hanging body that was dangling from that tree. Those were their pictures. Do you realize they made postcards out of the hanging men and women on those trees? with their eyes bulging, the neck twisted. Those were postcards. They took the picture for a reason. That was your down south hallmark.
Merry Christmas
With a dude hanging on the front. Oh, that brings you happiness? So it's real easy to make your God look mean when they're able to separate all of their dealings. Who hangs infants? Go ahead.
Yeah, think about it. Even those pictures, those had to be sanctioned events, because back then a camera wasn't this little thing that's in your pocket.
No.
So
Camera about this big.
Right.
And you damn near go blind when they take the picture. And who got that? One person probably in the whole city.
So you know it's a sanctioned event.
Yeah. Hell, they posed. Mm-hmm. And then they got on their Sunday best. That one that we all see. You got little kids that's right there by the feet. Are they posing? Yes. Those were Sunday best. They came from church and then hung that man. And then took a picture right in front of the dangling body. Had a picnic, sitting there eating. Mm-hmm. So it's real easy if they're going to cut off part of the knowledge to make you feel some kind of way. So then when your God say, go in now and kill everything that breathes. Now you questioning your God.
No, I think you're being rash. I think you're being harsh now, God.
Right. Because they have purposely made you feel some kind of way about his instruction. Because they make sure that this part is not going to be shown. You want to depict every color. They got baby Jesus. We got middle school Jesus. We got high school Jesus, fresh into puberty. We got middle-aged Jesus. He was, right out of college. Right when he came out of Jerusalem University. Then we got grown man Jesus. We got all them Jesus. Show me the hanging baby though. Why I ain't got no picture of that one? You done showed me everything. Show me the picture. Don't give me just the parts you want me to see. Give me the hanging baby. I want to see that picture too. Go ahead.
And rifled their houses and slew them that had circumcised them.
Slew them that had circumcised them. So it becomes a real death penalty to circumcise a child. Go to 2 Maccabees and chapter 4. And we're going to read verses 1 through 13. Now see, to get the children of Israel to deal with their culture, there's two modes of operation that have happened. You defile the place where they go. So all they got to do now is come out with any kind of media event that says, hey, some dirty things happen over here, or some such and such. Now, boom, they got us. Now we don't want to go to whatever place we were going. Now they introduce something else to us. So it's a two-action move. Defile the place where you go, and then introduce something else to you. Go ahead.
This Simeon now, of whom he spake afore, having been a betrayer of the money and of his country, slandered Onias as if he had terrified Helidorus and been the worker of these evils. Thus was he bold to call him a traitor that had deserved well of the city, and tendered his own nation, and was so zealous of the laws. But when their hatreds went so far that by one of Simeon's faction murders were committed, Onias, seeing the danger of this contention, and that Apollonius, as being the governor of Cilicia and Phoenicia, did rage and increase Simeon's malice, he went to the king, not to be an accuser of his countrymen, but seeking the good of all, both public and private. For he saw that it was impossible that the state would continue quiet, and Simeon leave his folly, unless the king did look thereunto. But after the death of Seleucus, when Antiochus, called Epiphanes, took the kingdom, Jason the brother of Onias labored underhand to be high priest, promising unto the king by intercession 360 talents of silver, and of another revenue 80 talents.
Now, remember the things that we read about the Essenes, how they went into these mountains. They said, the priesthood was corrupt. Understand why they were saying the priesthood was corrupt. Because the Gentiles had basically purchased all the priests. They were setting up priests according to their own thought process. So don't just think that, this group just turned. No, they watched the political way in which the priesthood was done, and they didn't want no parts of it. Go ahead.
Beside this, he promised to assign 150 more, if he might have license to set him up a place of exercise.
Here we go again.
And for the training up of the youth.
Now, training up of the youth. Let's raise up the children in the way that they should go. And when they get grown, they won't depart. Because we're going to put it so strong in their mind. Go ahead.
And for the training up of the youth in the fashions of the heathen, and to write them of Jerusalem by the name of Antiochians.
All right, so now we have the same thing that was set up by the Chaldeans. There's a scholarship program, if you will. But we're going to do this through sports. We're going to indoctrinate them, and we're going to use sports to do it. Go ahead.
Which when the king had granted, and he had gotten into his hand the rule, he forthwith brought his own nation to Greekish fashion.
He brought them to Greekish fashion. Them sororities and fraternities that we join in college, they Greek. We out there stepping, we was like, man, it looks so good when they be stepping. Hey, hey. We all excited. They brought us into all the Greek life. It's interesting that you can go to a black college and have a Greek party. Where the hell the Greeks at? How in the hell we in? This is a SBCU. What the hell are the Greeks? And why in the hell we dressed in a sheet? Go ahead.
My question is this. How many white Greek fraternities can you name?
I'm sure there's some. I can't name none of them.
I'm saying, how many can you name?
I can't name none of them.
How many black ones can you name?
Oh, I know a few black ones, yeah.
Okay, because guess what? After they leave college, they ain't running around with tags and brands that we can see.
Now, you know what, bro? That's a very interesting point. I ain't never pulled up on no white boy and you, I ain't never pulled up on no white boy barking.
And they tags ain't displaying it either.
Walking around with a brand on him, like a big cow.
So we take their stuff and go wholeheartedly above and beyond with it.
Yeah.
Their stuff come by in conversation and interviews. What school did you go to?
Right.
I played. So, you're a fellow brother.
Yeah, we walking around with pink and green tights on. Read, man.
And the royal privileges granted of special favor to the Yehudims by the means of Yohanan, the father of Polymus, who went ambassador to Rome for amity and aid. He took away, and putting down the governments which were according to the law, he brought up new customs against the law. For he built gladly a place of exercise under the tower itself, and brought the chief young men under his subjection, and made them wear a hat. Now such was the height of Greek fashions.
The height of Greek fashions. So now these Greek fashions, these Greek ways have been given unto us. Go ahead.
An increase of the heathenish manners through the exceeding profaneness of Jason, that ungodly wretch, and no high priest.
All right, keep reading.
that the priests had no courage to serve anymore at the altar, but despising the temple and neglecting the sacrifices, hastened to be partakers of the unlawful allowance in the place of exercise after the game of discus called them forth.
All right, so we have that. This is not just some event as far as, you know, hey, it's just looked at like a game. No, these items were put together so that they could lead the children of Israel away from the culture. I want you to read the note there for 1 Timothy 4:8.
For bodily exercise profits little, but godliness is profitable unto all things, having promise of the life that now is and of that which is to come.
All right. He didn't say bodily exercise didn't profit. But when we get to the point where it overrides everything else, we have a problem. All right. Now I want you to read some stuff that Britannica has to say about the Olympic Games.
The Olympic Games, like almost all Greek games, were an intrinsic part of a religious festival.
Stop. So I don't know what you think you're watching, but you're watching the part of a religious festival. You just need to understand what it is you're looking at. Go ahead.
They were held in honor of Zeus at Olympia.
Wait a minute. There's a reason why they call it the Olympic Games. Hold on. It's the Olympic Games because it was held at Olympia for the god Zeus. Go ahead.
By the city-state of Elis in the northwestern Peloponnese. In the early centuries of Olympic competition, all the contests took place on one day. Later, the games were spread over 4 days, with a fifth devoted to the closing ceremony, presentation of prizes, and a banquet for the champions. In most events, the athletes participated in the nude.
Okay. Pause there for a second. I need you to just consider. So we think those tight shorts are just part of the, look, those tight shorts was like, look, this is the smallest we can get. Because they was trying to get them to be completely nude. All right? So understand. So now when you think about the place of exercise that was put in Jerusalem, understand why they was so upset. But wait, there's more. Keep going.
At the meeting in 776 BCE, there was apparently only one event, a foot race that covered one length of the track at Olympia, but other events were added over the ensuing decades. The race, known as the Stade, was about 192 meters, 210 yards long. The word Stade also came to refer to the track on which the race was held and is the origin of the modern English word stadium. In 724 BCE, a two-length race, the Dialis, roughly similar to the 400-meter race, was included. And 4 years later, the Dalakis, a long-distance race possibly comparable to the modern 1,500 or 5,000-meter events, was added. Wrestling and the pentathlon were introduced in 708 BCE. The latter was an all-around competition consisting of 5 events: the long jump, the javelin throw, the discus throw, a foot race, and wrestling.
I'm sorry, y'all, but wrestling is totally different when ain't nobody got no clothes on. So understand now what was then given unto us, and we all out joining these things. Understand that this you understand why our forefathers like, man, don't put that place over there. Keep reading.
Wrestlers on an ancient Greek cup, men wrestling. Detail of an ancient Greek cup by Epictetus, 5200 BCE. in the Agora Museum, Athens.
Now, I'm sorry, they'll pause at wrestling. Hey, man, this is disgusting. Because there's part where you start the part where they say, all right, now you lay down and he get on top of you. Now, this is how the match began. Hold on, bro. Hold on, bro. Hey, bro, something ain't right about this here. I'm going to lose every match. All right, it's over. He won.
They got a name for that position, too.
What they call it?
Mount.
Somebody getting pinned and somebody getting mounted. Right. And then we keep seeing the outfits on the Olympics, and we think, man, that's a small outfit. Hey, the outfit supposed to be smaller. They were doing that nice for television. Go ahead.
Boxing was introduced in 688 BCE and chariot racing 8 years later. In 648 BCE, the pancratium, from Greek pancration, a kind of no-holds-barred combat, was included. This brutal contest combined wrestling, boxing, and street fighting. Kicking and hitting a downed opponent were allowed. Only biting and gouging, thrusting a finger or thumb into an opponent's eye, were forbidden.
In other words, mixed martial art.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, go ahead.
You know, Elder, in the starting, you got the lighting of the torch. And what I've been trying to look at here is, doesn't Zeus have a staff for the torch on the top?
I mean, they put their God worship in everything. We think that it's just a logo. They are openly putting the God that they are worshiping right there. They know what they're doing. But then you got to look at the power of this event, though. Everybody across the world is at this event. Keep reading.
Between 632 and 616 BCE, events for boys were introduced. And from time
now,
to
see,
time...
this is what, this is getting twisted. It's already twisted. Now it's even more twisted. Because understand, the boys ain't got no uniform. But then you look at, so was it really a problem when Larry Nasser, who was the doctor over the Olympic girls gymnasts, and he had molested or raped over 85 to 100 girls? How was he allowed to do this? And I'm talking about decades of gymnasts. Gold medal having people have been molested by this. How does he keep having the ability to do it? It was a part of somebody's culture for them to keep letting him do it. Go ahead.
And from time to time, further events were added, including a foot race in which athletes ran in partial armor, and contests for heralds and for trumpeters. The program, however, was not nearly so varied as that of the modern Olympics. There were neither team games nor ball games, and the athletics, track and field events were limited to the 4 running events and the pentathlon mentioned above.
All right, I want to go to the Greek way, but I want you to jump down to where it says theories.
Theories have ranged from the eccentric to the usual anthropological, religious, and social explanations, including the following.
The reasons, because in most events, the athletes participated in the nude. So now, this is their reasoning. Go ahead.
Nudity bespeaks a rite of passage. Nudity was a holdover from the days of hunting and gathering. Nudity had, for the Greeks, a magical power to ward off harm.
I know I'm going to leave you the hell alone. I know I'm going to leave you the hell alone. I know if you show up and you just pull out your Johnson, I'm getting the hell on. You understand? So I don't know what but it'll definitely work with me. I'm like, that person's crazy as hell. He just, go ahead.
And public nudity was a kind of custom of the upper class.
A costume.
Costume of the upper class.
Right. Keep reading.
Historians grasped at dubious theories because in Judeo-Christian society, to compete nude in public seems odd, if not scandalous. Yet ancient Greeks found nothing shameful about nudity, especially male nudity. Therefore, the many modern explanations of Greek athlete nudity are in the main unnecessary.
It's unnecessary to even speak about it because it's just normal for them. It is just normal for them to show up naked. This is why you go in the gym and you trying to work out and a naked guy just come right around there. Hey man, you want to spot me? Hell no! Where are your pants? Right. You need to understand that this is what we start reading, 776 BC? I hope you don't think you're going to change nobody's mind. Do you understand how deep this goes? What you got to do is deal with what you're dealing with and get the hell out of there. Don't think you're finna come in there and change the thought process of something. You want to do that, you better buy your own gym. Go ahead.
You know, I'm still laughing at this magical power to ward off harm. It's like you see the naked man. Hey, you go wrestle a naked man. Nah, I'm good.
Hey, he won automatically. That was magic. He won the match, and we didn't even get on the mat. Go ahead.
The Olympic Games were technically restricted to freeborn Greeks.
Now, check this out. Check this out now. All right, it was restricted to them. Keep reading.
Many Greek competitors came from the Greek colonies on the Italian peninsula and in Asia Minor and Africa.
Okay, pause. Now, as you look at all of these people who are competing, it starts to get real interesting. They are purposely grabbing the people whom they have control over and have those people compete. Those are the ones who are running around naked. Those are the ones, they've pulled those people from all the colonies that they control. Interesting. Go ahead.
Most of the participants were professionals who trained full-time for the events. Mm-hmm. These athletes earned substantial prizes for winning at many other preliminary festivals. And although the only prize at Olympia was a wreath of garland, an Olympic champion also received widespread adulation and often lavish benefits from his home city.
Exactly. Now let's go to Joel chapter 3. Just so, you know, when you're watching those events, you'll understand or have some form of understanding about what's happening there. And once you know, the sports commentators will actually hint toward it, but they will never go into it. But if you now that you know, pay attention to how many people hint. Well, it's not like the old days of the Olympics, and they won't go any further than that. But if you don't know that they all participated nude, then you don't really understand that joke that they just said. Joel chapter 3, and let's start that at verse 1, because we have to consider, it says that they got most of these participants from colonies or from Africa. So, when we look at Yahweh's word and the children of Israel have been spread all across the globe, then some way, shape, fashion, or form, it should be a whole lot of Jews in those games. I mean, there are, they just don't know they're Jews. Go ahead.
For behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Yehuda and Jerusalem, I will also gather all nations, and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage, Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land.
They have scattered two things. They've scattered the true children of Israel among the nations, and they parted the land. The land has been divided under other nations. Go ahead.
And they have cast lots for my people, and have given a boy for an harlot, and sold a girl for wine, that they might drink.
Okay, so anybody who claims to be a true Jew and understand where we are in this book, we're in the middle of this book. So you can't give me anything in Egypt and pretend that that was talking about you. Okay, so at this point, if they claim to be Judah or anybody of the tribe of Israel, then they need to be able to present where they have been sold. Now, not just that, he's going to go into the particular parts of the sale. Keep reading.
Yea, and what have you to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon, and all the coast of Palestine?
Now, how deep is he going here? Tyre and Zidon, all the coast of Palestine. Understand something. You need to look up those names and you go back to understand something. The so-called Israel was called Canaan land. So when you talk about the Canaanites, you're dealing with Hamites, which are the people who we call Africans. So then he's specifically talking about Africans, right? They said that they got their participants from Africa. Mm-hmm. Keep reading.
Will you render me a recompense? And if you recompense me, swiftly and speedily will I return your recompense upon your own head. Because you have taken my silver and my gold, and have carried into your temples my goodly pleasant things. The children also of Judea and the children of Jerusalem have you sold on to the Greeks.
I'm sorry, who?
On to the Greeks.
Okay, and they got their participants for their Olympics from the Africans. Yahweh saying here, the Africans sold the children of Israel to the Greeks. So the same thing I can find in this book, I can go in Encyclopedia Britannica, and they're going to back it up. Go ahead.
That you might remove them far from their border. Behold, I'll raise them out of the place whether you have sold them, and will return your recompense upon your own heads. And I'll sell your sons and your daughters into the hand of the children of Judea, and they shall sell them to the Sabaeans, to a people far off, for Yahweh hath spoken it. Proclaim you this among the Gentiles. Prepare war, wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords, and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. Assemble yourselves, and come, all you heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause your mighty ones to come down, O Yahweh. Let the heathen be wakened, and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. Put you in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come get you down, for the press is full, the fats overflow, for their wickedness is great. Multitudes, multitudes in the valley of decision, for the day of Yahweh is near in the valley of decision. The sun and the moon shall be darkened, and the stars shall withdraw their shining. Yahweh also shall roar out of Zion, and utter his voice from Jerusalem, and the heavens and the earth shall shake. But Yahweh will be the hope of his people, and the strength of the children of Israel.
Verse 15 says, where you at right now?
Verse 16.
Verse 15 says, the sun and the moon shall be darkened, and the stars shall withdraw their shining. They can go back and look at a whole lot of past, events in the skies. Not one time has the sun and the moon been darkened. So the stuff that we're reading ain't happened yet. Now, why would somebody want you to get out of this book and go read about angels? What would be the purpose? Now, they don't want you to know about this, but they want you to know about, see, the angel, he had on he had one blue shoe and a red sock. What the hell I care? But they want you to not read about events that have not taken place, But they want you to read about some fairy tale stuff and make you think that you're getting smarter. Right. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 17. So shall you know that I am Yahweh your Elohim, dwelling in Zion, my holy mountain. Then shall Jerusalem be holy, and there shall no strangers pass through her any more. And it shall come to pass in that day that the mountains shall drop down new wine, and the hills shall flow with milk, and all the rivers of Judea shall flow with waters. And a fountain shall come forth of the house of Yahweh, and shall water the valley of Shittim. Egypt shall be a desolation, and Edom shall be a desolate wilderness, for the violence against the children of Yehudah, because they have shed innocent blood in their land. But Yehudah shall dwell forever, and Jerusalem from generation to generation. For I will cleanse their blood that I have not cleansed, for Yahweh dwells in Zion.
Right, and it's something that the heathen does not want to take place. So what the heathen does is make sure that Israel is far away from the covenant of Yahweh. Let's go to Leviticus chapter 19. And all of this is being done through education. Either education or the lack thereof. In the days of old, the things that we pay for was given unto us freely. Schools had music class. They had chorus. They had auto body. They had welding. You got to go to college and pay for every last one of those things now. All of that was given free. Now they're raising taxes but taking away all the abilities that's supposed to be in the school. You got people who graduated from high school but know how to weld, and they have been able to keep a job. You got people who went to high school who know auto body, that know how to put cars together. They have a way to take care of their family. And they said, well, wait a minute, this is a problem. We got to take this away so that they're not coming out of high school and are able to take care of themselves. Because we need them to go to college and get in debt. So the very things that people are going to school to pay for, that used to be free. But it also gives an opportunity. See, there's one set of education instructions that can be given while you're at home. There's a whole nother level of indoctrination that can happen once they get you out your mom and dad's house. See, now you ain't got nobody, because sometimes you'll see something and it's a little strange. You can go home and say, hey, Daddy, the other day, the teacher said such and such, such and such. Oh, no, let me tell you what that is. But when you lack running into those people and they have got you halfway across the country, now when you see something, you don't quite know what that is. By the time you actually ask, it is already set root in your heart and your mind. They got you by the time you ask. Remember, it is some people's culture. It was the Trojans who handed their child off at 12 to a grown man. And that grown man took that 12-year-old boy out into the woods and had his way with him. He taught him how to fight, but he also did whatever he wanted. So whatever molestation he did was completely legal. And each family had to hand their 12-year-old boy off to a grown man and let him take him out into the woods and be gone months upon months. By the time he come back, he is a man completely indoctrinated. The reason why they said the Trojans fought so honorably, because they were lovers. There's culture that we have been indoctrinated in that we don't even fully understand. Leviticus chapter 19, and I want to start at verse 26.
You shall not eat anything with the blood, neither shall you use enchantment nor observe time.
So then the first thing that the heathen wanted to do was to come and defile the things that we eat. Go ahead.
You shall not round the corners of your heads, neither shall you mar the corners of your beard.
All right. So Yahweh has designated that there's a difference between how a man and a woman look. What did the heathen tell us? No, I think the man and woman should look exactly the same. I think you should shave your face constantly. Your face should look just like her. Go ahead.
You shall not make any cuttings in your flesh for the dead, nor print any marks upon you. I am Yahweh.
Once again, we keep getting other cultures, and that encourages us to deal with all of these other things. Go ahead.
Do not prostitute your daughter to cause her to be a whore, lest the land fall to whoredom and the land become full of wickedness.
Right. When you put your daughter on those long draws and y'all go to Walmart, what do you think that is? They say don't prostitute your daughter. What you do? Is she not on the strip? Is she not out for display? You go to Walmart and it's a whole generation of people in their drawers. The grandmama, the mama, and the child. It's 3 generations of tights walking in front of you. Go ahead.
You shall keep my Shabbats and reverence my sanctuary. I am Yahweh. Regard not them that have familiar spirits, neither seek after wizards to be defiled by them. I am Yahweh, your Elohim. You shall rise up before the hoary head and honor the face of the old man and fear your Elohim. I am Yahweh. And if a stranger sojourn with you in your land, you shall not vex him. But the stranger that dwells with you shall be unto you as one born among you, and you shall love him as yourself, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt. I am Yahweh, your Elohim.
Right, but don't think that the heathen get to follow their own culture in your land. No. You come in here, you're going to follow the culture. You don't get to come in here and say, well, how you doing? I just let you know I'm not Israel. So I don't really have to keep the Sabbath, but I'm going to show up. Turn around, go right back where you came from. But we do it all the time. We got to wait in our house. And then you let your sister's kids come over, and they all straight heathen. Your kids got a dress code, and all your sister's kids walking around looking like baby prostitutes. What you think they're going to do to your kid? No. Your kid's going to have to follow culture when they come. You see that mailbox? Your kid can do whatever the hell they want to do on the other side of that mailbox. I don't own that. But if they come past that mailbox, go ahead.
You shall do no unrighteousness in judgment, in meat yard, in weight, or in measure. Just balances, just weights, and a just ephah, and a just hin shall you have. I am Yahweh, your Elohim, which brought you out of the land of Egypt. Therefore shall you observe all my statutes and all my judgments, and do them. I am Yahweh.
Now, when we read this, Yahweh says you shall observe all of this. But understand, the heathen has very compelling ways to convince you out of the culture that Yahweh has given. See, we may look at something versus, okay, Yahweh gave us a law. And then you see this festival. You got to sit there and contemplate on, okay, what's all in that festival? Because sometimes we'll just say, okay, I can't go. It might be a situation where you say, all right, I can go, but I can't do this, I can't do that, and I can't do that. But do you just say, well, since I'm here, okay. Let's go to 2 Samuel chapter 10. Now, when you talk about, culture, because I mentioned this the other day, how there was a point that you would never see a Christian pastor with any hair on their face. Because they had what? Gotten their authority from the Gentiles. And the Gentiles make sure that they constantly shave. So once they got onto the platform of the Gentiles, they gave them the same ordination. So all of the Christian pastors were clean faced. Go ahead, 2 Samuel chapter 10. Let's read verses 1 through 5.
And it came to pass after this that the king of the children of Ammon died, and Hanun his son reigned in his stead. Then said David, I will show kindness unto Hanun the son of Nahash, as his father showed kindness unto me. And David sent to comfort him by the hand of his servants for his father. And David's servants came into the land of the children of Ammon. And the princes of the children of Ammon said unto Hanun, their master, think you that David does honor your father, that he has sent comforters unto you? Has not David rather sent his servants unto you to search the city and to spy it out and to overthrow it? Wherefore Hanun took David's servants.
Now this is why you can't listen to everybody. So now this individual has heard what his people say, and now he has reacted. Go ahead.
And shaved off the one half of their beards, and cut off their garments in the middle, even to their buttocks, and sent them away. The prince pants, huh?
Hey, yep. There go those prince pants right there, you know. But they didn't want those. They didn't. That was not their, their desire. Go ahead.
When they told it unto David, he sent to meet them, because the men were greatly ashamed. And the king said, tarry at Jericho until your beards be grown, and then return.
So then we see that it was a very important situation when it comes down to these men having facial hair, that they were too ashamed to even go back home. Let's go to Leviticus chapter 14. Now understand how then these cultures are then clashing. Because you have an invading culture who they believe that the face ought to be clean shaven. And understand, because they were not given this word and they were not given this covenant. Do you realize Gentiles and Africans can shave every day for 80 years and never have a bump? You realize our face don't work like that? Keep shaving. It's going to be like all American bump out all over here. You're going to be scratching like a dog with your foot. You know what I'm saying? You ain't going to even know you can get your foot up that high. Your foot going to be right under your chin, just going. What happened? Your face is revolting against you. Yahweh has made the law and your body coincide. We have the only hair that will go curve under and go back in your skin. Nobody else has hair like that. But nobody else was given the ordination that you can't cut your beard. So you cut it, and these bumps come out of everywhere. You can't even sit straight because you itching so bad. So to shave your face, those people trained their faces for that. You used to have to do all kind of stuff. I used to have to put a hot rag on my face to open up the pores so that when you cut it, you have less problems. Had a bathroom full of bump cream. Why? Because I'm trying to find a comfortable way to do something uncomfortable. I'm trying to find a comfortable way to break Yahweh's law. Yahweh said, why are you cutting that? I mean, I made you and your woman to look different. Why when you come before me, y'all look the same? I mean, you might as well have put on her dress. Hell, both of y'all. What the hell? Why you look like her? Go ahead.
And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, this shall be the law of the leper in the day of his cleansing. He shall be brought unto the priest, and the priest shall go forth out of the camp, and the priest shall look, and behold, If the plague of leprosy be held in the leper, then shall the priest command to take for him that is to be cleansed 2 birds alive and clean, and cedar wood, and scarlet, and hyssop. And the priest shall command that one of the birds be killed in an earthen vessel over running water. As for the living bird, he shall take it, and the cedar wood, and the scarlet, and the hyssop, and shall dip them and the living bird in the blood of the bird that was killed over the running water. And he shall sprinkle upon him that is to be cleansed from the leprosy 7 times, and shall pronounce him clean, and shall let the living bird loose into the open field. And he that is to be cleansed shall wash his clothes and shave off all his hair.
He that is to be cleansed shall wash his clothes and shave off all his hair. Now, wait a minute. So then we have shaving, but it has a purpose. Go ahead.
And wash himself in water, that he may be clean. And after that he shall come in to the camp, and shall tarry abroad out of his tent 7 days. But it shall be...
Go ahead.
But it shall be on the 7th day that he shall shave all his hair off his head, and his beard, and his eyebrows. Even all his hair he shall shave off, and he shall wash his clothes. Also he shall wash his flesh in water, and he shall be clean.
All right. So then now this is a situation of cleansing, so he's having to shave off all of his hair. All right. Now sometimes things mention something and then it'll just, jump because, he ain't trying to go all the way into that. But it shall be on the 7th day that he shall shave off all his hair off his head, off his beard, and his eyebrows. But then it says even all his hair. That's one more place he got hair. You know what I'm saying? That's got to go too. Okay. All right. Let's go to Numbers chapter 6.
Hey, Elder, there's some stuff in this book that we're going to have to get mentally prepared for. You imagine seeing a bunch of people with their eyebrows off?
Hey, bro. The people do it now. They cut their eyebrows off and then draw some. I mean, what are you talking about? That's normally women, though. You don't just run into a whole bunch of brothers and just, you know what I'm saying, they just look like they got a question. Hey, bro, hey. So you just walk around, oh, you talking to me? No, I didn't say that. Oh, okay. You know what, damn, I just realized your eyebrows missing. I didn't know. I thought you had a question. I'm sorry. I apologize. Yeah. Hey. But that brother has gone through like a cleansing of some sort. Okay? So that's why sometimes you may not know what's happening. You may think that this may be a fashion statement, but this person is going through something. All right? Numbers chapter 6, let's read verses 1 through 9.
And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, When either man or woman shall separate themselves to vow a vow of a Nazarite, to separate themselves unto Yahweh, he shall separate himself from wine and strong drink, and shall drink no vinegar of wine, or vinegar of strong drink. Neither shall he drink any liquor of grapes, nor eat moist grapes or dry.
All right, so you got to understand the culture that we grew up in. Right now, everybody got locks as a fashion statement. Everybody want locks. Now, when you find yourself in the kingdom and you got locks and you pick up a cup of wine and 3-4 brothers show up to you with a machete and they just looking at you, don't be surprised. Because them locks supposed to mean something. So when you take that wine to your mouth, and they show up saying, oh, this dude playing, ain't it? Keep reading.
All the days of his separation shall he eat nothing that is made of the vine tree, from the kernels even to the husk.
So if they see you eating certain kind of food, and they walk up to you with that machete in their hand, understand why. Your fashion statement done went wrong. Go ahead.
All the days of the vow of his separation there shall no razor come up on his head, until the days be fulfilled, in the which he separates himself unto Yahweh. He shall be holy, and shall let the locks of the hair of his head grow.
Okay, that means he has separated himself unto Yahweh. So if you done separated yourself unto Yahweh, and then they see you doing certain things, they gonna get ready to do something to you. So this machete either gonna cut you or it's finna cut that hair. One of y'all finna get cut. Now, which one you want? Hair, please. Yeah, okay. One of them coming off. Because the minute he see you do certain things, you have said, my vow is over. You have said that it is completed. You don't know that's what you said, but that's what you said. Did you finish that?
All the days that he separates himself unto Yahweh, he shall come at no dead body.
Uh-huh.
He shall not make himself unclean for his father or for his mother.
Wait a minute. Now, understand now. Wait a minute. See, we out looking cute. All right? But then, Yahweh said, oh, no, you can't go to no funeral. Where you going? No, I was going to go. What? You going where? Understand what that's going to be accounted for in the kingdom. So a lot of times we look at things that says, Yahshua said he shall not drink of anything, he's going to have that Nazarite vow. So we look and say, oh yeah, this is a holy situation. All right? Just understand, when that gets instituted, guard yourself. See, we got to understand that there might be certain things that we can do in Babylon that gonna get you killed in Yahweh's kingdom. Go ahead.
For his brother or for his sister when they die, because the consecration of his Elohim is upon his head.
Uh-huh.
All the days of his separation he is holy unto Yahweh. And if any man die very suddenly by him, and he has defiled the head of his consecration, then he shall shave his head in the day of his cleansing. On the seventh day shall he shave it.
All right. So then there's order. Go to the next note and read that for me.
Judges chapter 13 and verse 5.
So you need to understand that there are people who have, walked into this covenant. Go ahead.
For, lo, you shall conceive and bear a son, and no razor shall come on his head, for the child shall be a Nazarite unto Elohim from the womb, and he shall begin to deliver Israel out of the hand of the Philistines.
Right. And this is talking about Samson. And what happened? When that hair was cut, his power departed from him. Go to the next graphic.
1 Samuel chapter 1 and verse 11. And she vowed a vow, and said, Yahweh of hosts, if you will indeed look on the affliction of your handmaid, and remember me, and not forget your handmaid, but will give unto your handmaid a man-child, then I will give him unto Yahweh all the days of his life, and there shall no razor come upon his head.
This is the prophet Samuel that this is spoken about. Now let's go to Acts chapter 21, and you'll find that Saul walked according to the same thought process. Acts chapter 21. And let's start at verse 17. See, if you just start reading some things and don't have any kind of foundation about what that is, you'll read it, but you won't know what you read.
You know, Elder, when you look at the situation of what we just read about Samuel, I never thought about that. A Nazarite from birth.
Uh-huh.
You know, when you just looked at this whole thing of us uncovering our heads in the sanctuary. Mm-hmm. This man has grown his locks from a child on up. So like you stated, can you imagine him having to unwrap to pray?
Bruh.
And then wrapping that back up?
He need a whole team. The whole congregation got to help him wrap that back up. All right, y'all go around. All right, now run around. Y'all come on. Rap, come on, man. Service will be over before he wrap that. Acts chapter 21, let's start at verse 17.
And when we were come to Jerusalem, the brethren received us gladly. And the day following, Saul went in with us unto Jacob, and all the elders were present. And when he had saluted them, he declared particularly what things Elohim had wrought among the Gentiles by his ministry. And when they had heard it, they glorified the Adonai, and said unto him, You see it, brother, how many thousands of Yehudims there are which believe, and they are all zealous of the law.
Uh-huh.
And they are informed of you, that you teachest all the Yehudims which are among the Gentiles to forsake Moshe, saying that they ought not to circumcise their children, neither to walk after the custom.
Now, understand why this is a big thing. They have suffered during all of these Gentiles coming in, pushing their customs and trying to force their way. So now these brothers are automatically sensitive to that. Go ahead.
What is it therefore? The multitude must needs come together, for they will hear that you are come. Do therefore this that we say to you. We have 4 men which have a vow on them.
They have a vow. Go ahead.
Them take and purify yourself with them, and be at charges with them, that they may shave their heads, and all may know that these things whereof they were informed concerning you are nothing, but that you yourself also walk orderly and keep the law.
So in other words, he gonna shave his head with them because he had a vow. They gonna all shave their head. So you not only do certain clothing mean things, but certain a way that you see somebody, whether or not their hair is long, whether or not their hair is short, it communicates what they are going through in their life. See, we own fashion and we don't understand that we making a statement. What we think we making is a fashion statement. Take off fashion. No, you made a statement. Go ahead.
As touching the Gentiles which believe, we have written and concluded that they observe no such thing, save only that they keep themselves from things offered to idols, and from blood, and from strangled, and from fornication. Then Saul took the men, and the next day purifying himself with them, entered into the temple, to signify the accomplishment of the days of purification, until that an offering should be offered for every one of them.
All right. So he did what he needed to do to complete that vow. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 15. So the heathen understands that, okay, there are certain ways that these individuals operate. To separate them from their Elohim, I need to get in here and cause them to operate in such a way that it causes a problem. So imagine if we find ourselves on the way to the kingdom and they see us in a certain state, okay, and they're expecting this individual to be one way, and then you don't operate like that. Now you unknowingly separating yourself from your Elohim. That's seriously. You got to know, all right, well, it's time for me to do such and such. All right, certain things got to go. Yahweh allowed Moshe to walk with them uncircumcised kids, but for so long. And when he got close to Israel, the angel like, all right, now, I know I said a whole lot of things. I was going to do some greatness, but right now I'm about to greatly kill you. Mm-hmm. You need to take care of that business. If them uncircumcised kids reach where Israel is, you're going to have some problems, man. But the whole time he was away from Israel, he let him slide. Okay. Message. Pick up. Isaiah chapter 15, start that at verse 1.
The burden of Moab, because in the night Ar of Moab is laid waste and brought to silence, because in the night Kir of Moab is laid waste and brought to silence. He is gone up to Baeth and to Dibon, the high places, to weep. Moab shall howl over Nebo and over Medeba. On all their heads shall be baldness, and every beard cut off. In their streets they shall gird themselves with sackcloth on the tops of their houses, and in their streets every one shall howl, weeping abundantly. And Heshbon shall cry, and Elel their voice shall be heard even unto Jahaz. Therefore the armed soldiers of Moab shall cry out, his life shall be grievous unto him.
All right, so we're talking about this mourning of Moab. Go ahead.
My heart shall cry out for Moab. His fugitives shall flee unto Zoar, an heifer of 3 years old. For For by the mounting up of Luhith, with weeping shall they go it up. For in the way of Horonaim, they shall raise up a cry of destruction. For the waters of Nimrim shall be desolate, for the hay is withered away. The grass fails, there's no green thing. Therefore the abundance they have gotten, and that which they have laid up, shall they carry away to the brook of the willows. For the cry is gone round about the borders of Moab, the howling thereof unto Eglaim, and the howling thereof unto Beer Elim. For the waters of Dimon shall be full of blood. For I will bring more upon Dimon, lions, upon him that escape out of Moab, upon the remnant of the land.
All right, so this whole part is about mourning. Back up to verse 2. It says, on all their heads shall be baldness, and every beard cut. If that is so, then that is making a statement, concerning their mourning, that they are in a very sad state. So the Gentiles want their people to show up smooth-faced and told us the same thing. When Yahweh look at a Hebrew man and he ain't got no hair on his face, he gonna be like, what you crying for? All right, let's go to Isaiah chapter 20. See, we got to know that how something may appears in one state, you need to know how that's gonna appear to your Elohim. Because you may be saying something that you don't know you're saying. See, ain't nothing worse than saying something that you don't know you're saying. And you keep saying, I didn't say that. Yes, you did. I didn't say that. No, you said that when you showed up. When you showed up with that on, you said it. Well, that ain't what I meant. I can't go by what you meant. I can go by what I saw. And I can go by what I heard. Isaiah chapter 20, and let's read verses 1 through 6.
In the year that Tartan came on to Ashdod, when Sargon the king of Assyria sent him, and fought against Ashdod and took it. At the same time spake Yahweh by Esaias the son of Amoz, saying, Go and loose the sackcloth from off your loins, and put off your shoe from off your foot. And he did so, walking naked and barefoot. And Yahweh said, Like as my servant Esaias has walked naked and barefoot 3 years for a sign and wonder upon Egypt and upon Ethiopia, so shall the king of Assyria lead away the Egyptians prisoners, and the Ethiopians captives, young and old, naked and barefoot, even with their buttocks uncovered, to the shame of Egypt. And they shall be afraid and ashamed of Ethiopia, their expectation, and of Egypt, their glory. And the inhabitant of this isle shall say in that day, Behold, such is our expectation, whether we flee for help to be delivered from the king of Assyria, and how shall we escape?
All right, so now, once again, here is judgment, and is naked and barefoot with their buttocks uncovered, is judgment. Now, you have to understand something. The very things that the Gentiles believe was a status symbol, to walk naked, is a system of judgment in the East. So the West, it is a symbol of joy, is the opposite when you go to the East. So to have their beards cut this is an upstanding member of the community. He is business associated. In the East, you must be mourning somebody's death. Where is your beard? You need to understand the differences in culture, that you are saying something whether you know it or not. So then when these people came and brought their culture among the children of the East, they implemented their ways. So they brought their joy, which means absolute nothing but sadness, to Yahweh. So then we mimic sadness. Yahweh told us to cover our loins. The first thing you do when you get a job, they tell you need to tuck that shirt in. Their culture goes opposite of what Yahweh has given us. But you got to understand, the adversary, the devil, rules their culture. So he has set up ways, and they don't even understand why he set it up that way. But he set it up so every part of it will be a snare against the children of Israel, because it's us that he has great indignation against. But let us hear the conclusion of this matter. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 13. Deuteronomy chapter 13. And I want to read verse 6 through 18.
Verse 6. If your brother, the son of your mother, or your son, or your daughter, or the wife of your bosom, or your friend, which is as your own soul, entice you secretly, saying, let us go and serve other gods, which you have not known, you nor your fathers.
Now, they're not going to ask you to go and serve another God. They're going to ask you, let's go to this place. Hey, let's go to this party. Where is that? Is that P. Diddy house? No, I can't go to that party. I can't go to that party right there. They're not going to ask you to serve another God. They're just going to ask you, let's go to a party. Go ahead.
Name me of the gods of the people which are round about you, near unto you, or far from you, from the one end of the earth even unto the other end of the earth. You shall not consent unto him, nor hearken unto him. Neither shall your eye pity him. Neither shall you spare, neither shall you conceal him.
Wait a minute. You shall not consent unto him, nor hearken unto him. Neither shall your eye pity him. Neither shall you spare him, neither shall you conceal him. Go ahead.
But you shall surely kill him. Your hand shall be first upon him to put him to death, and afterwards the hand of all the people.
Now, because at this point, they're trying to entice you to go against the culture of your Elohim. We are enticed constantly, but through various means. Every commercial that come on TV is attempting to entice you to do something. Go ahead.
And you shall stone him with stones that he die, because he has sought to thrust you away from Yahweh your Elohim, which brought you out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage. And all Israel shall hear and fear, and shall do no more any such wickedness as this thing is among you.
And we know that this was given unto Israel in the power of our land. We can't possibly operate like that anymore because we didn't operate how we were supposed to operate in the land. So, of course, there will be no physical killing of anybody who does anything like that, but you kill yourself from them. Oh, no. You go left, I'm going right. Understand what the killing mean in this day and time. But our problem is we call them people friends. So then the very people who are enticing us to go against Yahweh's culture, they ain't calling us, we calling them. Hey, man, what you doing today? Trying to convince you to go against your God? All right, I'll be over there too. Go ahead.
If you shall hear say in one of your cities, which Yahweh Elohim has given you to dwell there, saying, certain men, the children of Belial, are gone out from among you, and have withdrawn the inhabitants of their city, saying, let us go and serve other gods which you have not known.
Let us go and participate. Understand? The Olympics was set up as a festival for Zeus. It is part of a religious festival. And apparently, Zeus don't like clothes. He don't like nothing covering up those thunderbolts. I mean, when he throw lightning, he want to see the thunder. All right. So This is what this God like. Go ahead.
Then shall you inquire and make search and ask diligently. And, behold, if it be truth, and the thing certain, that such abomination is wrought among you, you shall surely smite the inhabitant of that city with the edge of the sword, destroying it utterly, and all that is therein, and the cattle thereof with the edge of the sword. And you shall gather all the spoil of it into the midst of the street thereof, and shall burn with fire the city, and all the spoil thereof every whit.
Whoa. All the spoil shall be burned. Now, if this is for judgment, what happened if you see a goodly Babylonish garment? And now you take it under your house. Now you got a cursed thing. Why? Because it's supposed to be set on fire. Go ahead.
For Yahweh Elohim, and it shall be in heap forever, it shall not be built again. And there shall cleave not of the accursed thing to your hand, that Yahweh may turn from the fierceness of his anger, and show you mercy, and have compassion upon you, and multiply you, as he has sworn unto your fathers. When you shall hearken to the voice of Yahweh Elohim, to keep all his commandments, which I command you this day, to do that which is right in the eyes of Yahweh, your Elohim.
All right, and let every man be convinced in his own mind that the heathen will try all types of measures, all types of ways to get us to walk in the culture that is fitting unto them. Because walking in Yahweh's culture does not allow them to make merchandise of us. See, when we get to start dealing with their culture, there are items that go with that. And they can't sell any of their merchandise or wear to you if you don't subscribe to the culture. So your getting to their culture is not just about, one thing. It brings them finance. Okay? And we are those people that when we do something, we want every part of it. You go to Disney World, you're going to want to leave with a Disney World shirt. Well, hey, merch brings money. I'll never forget looking at the little kid cartoon Hercules, and the dude was working for Satan, and he showed up in hell with some Hercules sandals. What the way? I'm trying to kill him, and you got on his merch. Well, their God worship brings forth money. And they're not just out to destroy us. That's not their thought process. Their thought process is to get as much money as they can. But if they just so happen to destroy you in the process, then so be it. And if they need to destroy you for you to purchase their merch, then that's what's going to have to be done. Because they're trying to get that money. But no matter of any of that is going to help us when it's time for us to go face to face with our Elohim. He's going to hold us accountable. That's all that we're going to do for today. Remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.